see the names?
Yes.
Okay, so you're free to start.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are the first panel after the lunch, so that's a bit challenging, but I really trust that the topics we're going to speak about are very important and will draw your attention. Before we start the panel, I have the pleasure to introduce our commissioner, Ekaterina Zakharieva, she can't be here today with us, and she sent a video message, so we'll start with the video message. Please.
Уважаеми господин президент, Ваши превъзходителства, уважаеми гости, благодаря за възможността да ви поздравя. Радвам се, че мога да го направя от дистанция, тъй като, за съжаление, програмата ми не позволи да бъда с вас днес. Без иновации Европа не може да бъде конкурентоспособна, силна и стабилна. Ние сме най-демократичният съюз в света и за да останем такива, за да запазим нашия начин на живот, трябва да използваме целия си капацитет на икономистите, на учените, на изследователите, на предприемачите, на младите хора. Като първият комисар за стартиращи предприятия, разчитам изключително много на вашата подкрепа. Искаме да върнем Европейския съюз на лидерските позиции по иновации, там където му е мястото. Затова първата ни цел е премахване на бюрократичните пречки. В момента в Европейският съюз има близо 100 закона, свързани с работата на технологичните компании и около 270 регулационни режима. Абсурдно е да продължаваме така. Ще въведеме единна и улеснена регистрация на иновативните компании, която да важи в целия Европейски съюз. Целта ни са и много повече инвестиции за иновации. Преди повечето 22 години всички ние се съгласихме, че те трябва да стигнат 3% от брутния вътрешен продукт. Иначе няма как да задържим младите учени и да изградим нужните центрове и лаборатории. Топ 3 на инвеститорите в иновации в Европа през последните 20 години са автомобилни компании. Така е било и в САЩ, но преди десетилетия. Сега първите 3 компании по инвестиции в иновации там са в областта на технологиите. Ще предложим и промени в програмата за научни изследвания и иновации. Нуждаем се от повече ресурси, опростени правила и равен достъп до финансиране. Впечатляващо е, че ръстът на софтуерния сектор в България продължава с по-бързи темпове от развитието на българската икономика. Само миналата година имаме 450 нови софтуерни компании с близо 2600 работни места. До момента по програмата Хоризонт Европа България е получила 158 милиона евро по 600 проекта. И призовавам българските компании, учени и университетите за още по-голяма активност. Надявам се, че мога да разчитам на вашата подкрепа за изпълнението на тези приоритети. Защото имаме обща цел – да направим Европа и България по-иновативни и проспериращи. Желая ви успешен форум и благодаря за вниманието.
Our panel today is very interesting. We are covering different aspects of the foreign investment topic. I won't lose time because we have so many people that everyone has to say interesting things that are useful to hear and to discuss about. So I'll just present the different panelists and give them the floor. And I'm starting with the numbers, with the analysis. to have the real picture and to, when we speak about concepts, to have numbers in mind. And that's why I'm giving the floor to the first panelist, Emilija Timmis, who is a senior economist at the World Bank. They've done some very interesting analysis, and I think that's a great base for our discussion. Please.
Hello, hi, and thank you so much for having us from the World Bank with you today. We have a rich panel, so I'll keep to three main messages. I'll speak about uncertainty, clean tech value chains, and policy. So today we're in a context of really high uncertainty. As a macroeconomist, normally I would show you a chart of US growth rates going one way, China going up, EU going some way. Today I don't have this chart because if I put it up, it would be a collection of flat lines. Looking back, flat lines are not a bad message, right? We had the unprecedented monetary policy and avoided a major dip in growth. So looking back, flat line is not a bad line. But looking forward, the collection of lines is a flat line. We just published our global economic prospects last week, and we forecast that over the coming years, the global growth on average will be 3%, flat line. Advanced economies, flat line, 2%. Emerging economies, flat line, 4%. When a macroeconomist shows you a flat line, that's a message of uncertainty, and that's a message of risks. And we know that for investment, and especially FDI, uncertainty is bad news. So that brings me to a second message. Our clients in the EU that World Bank works with, Bulgaria, Romania, Croatia, and Poland, are increasingly interested, given the policy shifts, are increasingly interested in how to design industrial strategies, how to attract investment, how to boost growth, and job creations. So we were very much interested to look beyond these flat lines and see where those lines are pointing up. And one area where these lines are pointing up and the market opportunities are in trillions is the green transition. So we wanted to see what concrete opportunities could be there for Bulgaria and other countries in terms of exports. We do very careful analysis on this clean tech value chains using trade and firm data. We map 5 value chains that are on top of the green transition, also in the Draghi report. So electric vehicle, batteries, wind, solar PV, electrolyzers for hydrogen production, and heat pumps. To see first how much countries are already plugged into these value chains, but also what opportunities in this market of trillions can be concretely brought to them, to countries like Bulgaria, if the EU delivers on its targets. So what do we show? We show that Bulgaria is actually already very active in these value chains. As mentioned in the competitiveness panel, maybe a bit more concentrated to subcomponents or ingredients than final goods. But we see either already exports or opportunities in about 200 distinct products in these 5 value chains alone. So opportunities are there. And then if EU continues on its current trend of the green transition, we think that Bulgaria's exports that today in these value chains are about 500 million or 0.5% of GDP could quadruple. And if the EU continues and maintains these targets and delivers on them, exports from Bulgaria on these value chains could increase 6-fold. So the opportunities are there. Now, to deliver on these opportunities, Bulgaria would need about $1 billion in investments in these value chains alone today. So, and that brings me to my third point, how can Bulgaria answer this $1 billion question, and where can policy come in to help? To answer this question, somebody mentioned public-private dialogue. We turned to investors, some of which are in this room who are investing in these value chains in the region or in Bulgaria. And based on these surveys, we see that a lot of things matter for investment, of course. Market size, energy costs that we're discussing later today, skills in the labor market, regulation, political stability. What also matters is government incentives or subsidies. But what we see so far is that they're not on the top of the agenda for investors. So they matter, but they're not at the top. So our key message when thinking through an industrial strategy in a country like Bulgaria is that government has policy toolkit much broader than just subsidies. And in Bulgaria in particular, we see that multinational companies rely on domestic suppliers less than in countries like Poland. So if the government was to throw in big support and subsidies, that would trickle very little to domestic. So in Bulgaria, to sum up, subsidies may not be the most productive way, we think, given the current situation, to nurture jobs and exports. And instead, there's a lot of job remaining to be done to support education, innovation, infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll switch directly to the next panelist, Milena Stoycheva, who was Minister of Innovation and Growth in 23 and 24, and a very active minister, especially in innovation and the importance of innovation for growth. Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mila. It's great to be here and to talk also on topics that are very much close to the way I believe we can be developing, and also to my mission. You know that during my mandate, I was very much focused on driving opportunities for innovation, both with small companies, but also with big ones, to be at the forefront of attracting investment. And just like the previous speaker, I would like to use these 5 minutes that we have to pass on 3 messages, key messages. I think, as also Commissioner Zakharieva mentioned, that there is absolutely no future or perspective for any kind of an investment to be attracted without creating policies and prioritizing on both innovation opportunities for growth for companies, as well as new technologies that are really driving this innovation. So to me, Bulgaria needs to continue both to work on connecting the investors with potential for innovation and for growth here, because it can offer a very good opportunity for testing new solutions and to working in sectors that are higher value add. Probably this is one of our key assets as economy that we could differentiate with others. Another fact that was starting to work, because during 2024 we saw quite of an increase in the foreign direct investment. It had in the first months it had actually achieved a record of 1.5 billion investment. And this is something that was a result of exactly a policy that was opening doors and opportunities for both innovation that is happening in established companies and organizations, but also in inviting and opening the space and putting, creating actually space for startups and for smaller new companies to be collaborating with the big ones and to seeing a stage to showcase their new solutions. This is also something that we as a region should continue doing. Another initiative that we had started was related to building partnership between regionally, between Romania, Greece, Bulgaria, Southeast Europe, which is giving additional opportunities for these value chains where we could be excelling, to be also developed locally, regionally, and to specialize in attracting strategic investors and strategic players in these sectors to create their local and regional hubs. So to me, the perspective on how we could be actually capitalizing on the trends, because we heard that there is a flat line related both to growth and to opportunities for development as well as for stability, that we should continue this work that was started to prioritize sectors that are strategic and that are higher value add, to invest in developing the startup ecosystem and the collaboration between different stakeholders, to also invest in the so-called regional economic development, with a focus on, let's say, a bit clustering approach, where we could specialize in these supply chains, and as well as to continue attracting investors, because we are open and we are ready to create these public-private partnerships that were mentioned. They are the only way that nowadays countries can use the, let's say, the agility, and also the fact that younger companies or newer companies are faster in creating solutions, but also they need to be supported regulation-wise very actively by the public institutions in order to make you know, this combination and this partnership actually work. So this is my just initial and a few thoughts that I wanted to share. Very much I agree with the trend, and I think if we want to be anywhere on the picture, we should continue working together with our neighbors as a region, invest in the technologies that also, and talents that are here in the region, and also support public-private partnerships.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this overview and this vision for development. Our next panelist is Mr. Tsvetan Simeonov, who is the president of the Bulgarian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, for an overview of from their perspective. And I really invite all the panelists to try to stay within the 5 minutes, because we are very strict on time. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Permit me first of all to thank the organizers for giving me opportunity to speak here for this important forum. It is very serious topic for Bulgarian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the conditions for doing business in Bulgaria, and inviting, attracting foreign and Bulgarian investors. It's good that the topic was investment in Bulgaria, because for a certain period of times there were no focus on Bulgarian investors also. So BCCI is very clear. We do not give priority to any sector. Making such priorities, we always will have as a result not objective support. There will be discretion of certain authorities. Second, I will speak about, let me make long story short. Last year we had our 5 years report of activity of Chamber of Commerce. On our website we have 12 pages, proposals to respective authorities, what they can do to improve business environment. From today it will be available in English also. I will put my stress on certain topics only. We like very much preserving macroeconomic stability of Bulgaria. This means no increase in taxation rates, keeping the state debt on lower level, keeping on lower level, possible lower level, the redistributive role of the budget. And this is, in general, already agreed with the main political forces in Bulgaria. In pre-election and after election period, in bargaining period for our government, united forces of Bulgarian employers organizations, there are 4, we met all the parties that have now involvement in forming the government, even some of the parties which will be in opposition, and we could say that all of them support these very important conditions for doing business in Bulgaria. Certainly we have to work for reducing the inflation, to solve the problems of businesses quicker way, better use on time, I could say. Bulgarians know why, and European institutions also. We are late with using properly the funds that are allocated for Bulgaria. It is very important, Bulgaria, not to postpone any more entrance of Eurozone. And this is also agreed with the parties involved in the government and some of the parties that will be in a position which is very good. I do not expect any troubles with implementation of Euro, Bulgaria joining Eurozone. We need restructuring of energy sector, but here we have experts, that's why I will not enter this topic. Digitalization is very important. Artificial intellect, further training for using opportunities of digitalization also are in our focus. Improvement of system for education is in our focus also, because lack of labor force for qualified employees is very clear, and also it goes hand in hand with simplifying the procedures for import of labor force. And last but not least, what we can do, we will continue together with our partners from representative employers organizations to keep this framework that is that will make Bulgaria more attractive place for investment. As for Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we will continue to provide training, consultancy for specific topics, and last but not least, solving the claims through the arbitration code that is working under the premises of Chamber of Commerce. It provides, because we are criticized, this is very important message to all the investors. We are criticized for lack of rule of law, but in arbitration court, you will have service 5 times quicker than state courts, opportunity to appoint arbitrator from abroad, not from Bulgaria, and having heard the case in respective language. Thank you very much. I'm here to answer any questions for our activity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now I'm giving the floor to Mr. Lyubomir Stanislavov, who's the CEO and member of board of the Automotive cluster, for his insight on the topic.
Hello.
5 minutes, please.
Hello from my side. We know each other with most of you, but my name is Lyubomir Stanislavov, and I'm also the CEO of the Automotive cluster. Probably you have heard that the automotive industry is in crisis. It's partially true, but it is not exactly, because the automotive industry is changing. So maybe just two major points from my side. So number one is that the automotive industry is the fastest developing industry for the last 10 years, actually probably even more than 10 years in Bulgaria. And the numbers speak by themselves. So this is an industry which almost doesn't exist during the communist period. And today it employs more than 85,000 people, and it generates 11% from the country's GDP. But also the industry is changing, and it's not only about the electrification, it is also about the software-defined vehicle. So basically the software is now creating how the vehicle will look and how the vehicle will function, which is something completely new. And of course, the threat coming from China, because China is developing very quickly. So when you combine those three different things, what you get is the most interesting period in the automotive industry so far. Nevertheless, I think most of the companies in our sector are developing quite well. Here next to me is our head of the board of the automotive cluster, and I think the company Gestamp Etem is one of the examples for a really well-developing company in general in Bulgaria, but especially into the automotive industry. This is probably the fastest growing company, but I'm sure that Mr. Fountoukis will explain more about their company himself. I just want to point one practice that, according to me, needs to be improved. This is something which is probably used in the last, 10 or even more years. So when a company in Bulgaria is certified as a Class A or a priority, normally now the company is signing basically a memorandum. And this memorandum is kind of binding for the government, but it's not so binding for the investors. And I can understand why this practice was happening in the past, because Bulgaria was one of the cheapest country to invest in the region. Now we are not. Now we are trying to push the more advanced part of the industry, created with software solutions, created with other, and there are other countries which are cheaper than us. And unfortunately, I think this practice is allowing other countries, because I'm sure that countries like Macedonia, like Serbia, they are very closely monitoring what is happening here. So it is allowing them to try to pursue this investor and to say, okay, Bulgaria give you something, but we can give you a little bit more. And what I'm saying, this is something which is probably easy to be changed and must be changed, so we will be more protected for the new investors that we and the InvestBulgaria agency and all of the people which we are in front work so hard. So this is from my side. I'm ready to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'll give the floor to Mr. Fountoukis. Don't think it's an error of protocol. We discussed before that I'll give the floor first to Mr. Stanislavov, because as a CEO of the cluster has the overview, and then we move to an overview and the experience of somebody that's doing business in Bulgaria. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nenova. Talking about FDI in this panel, and also building on the argument of Ms. Stanislavov regarding the attractiveness and the procedure in order for a new investor to join the country investing. I would like to say a few words about Etem Gestamp, which belongs to the automotive cluster. It has the honor to be the chair also for a few years now. I believe it's quite of a unique example because we have the cooperation of two large groups in Etem Gestamp. So basically we had an established player, which was a Viohalco company that is well known and well established in Bulgaria for more than 20 years. And then it used to own Etem at that time. And meanwhile, this company attracted another very big investor, a Spanish group, which is Gestamp, in order to invest in Bulgaria and join forces in one JV. So I believe it's one of the few examples that we could find around in the market and especially in the industry in Bulgaria. So these two companies joined forces in order to do something, I believe, quite great, to produce cars, parts for cars for the most prominent OEMs in Europe, German and others, where these parts are adding to the lightweighting because these are aluminum products, and also through this way to the sustainability of the automotive industry and also more specifically to the electrification, because many of the products that we produce are for holding the batteries for the electric cars. So the overall contribution, I believe, of the company and the mission is to add into this lightweighting initiative to electrification and overall to contribute to the sustainability of automotive industry and also further to Europe and to Bulgaria first and foremost. Some of the activities is that we are investing quite heavily in very modern technologies. We are trying to be really sustainable. We have one of the first power purchasing agreements for green electricity in Bulgaria. We are into this direction as a direction of our two group shareholders. And I would say overall this shows a really important commitment in the country, being an industry and investing in really heavy assets. So it shows a really important commitment when you're investing in such assets. So you cannot, let's say, escape the country after a couple of days, let's say. So it's a long-term commitment to the Bulgarian environment as a business environment. However, I would like to say that, to mention a couple of things regarding the attractiveness and regarding the challenges actually that we have going forward. So once we attract the investor, we need, I believe, and I will build also on Ms. Stoycheva's arguments about the cooperation, I believe this is a key word for me, and especially after Draghi report, where we realized that in general the administrations have to have their ears more closer to the business if we want to move forward and become a more competitive continent, but not only. And talking about Bulgaria, we're in the same, I believe, line. It's great news that we have a new administration in Bulgaria since a couple of days, and I really believe that we need to work together, industry and the administration, in order to resolve some of the key challenges. And I will mention a couple of those. So mainly, I would say that EU funding opportunities has been a quite important point that has not been really developed. We heard some numbers from the Commissioner, and I believe this has a tremendous room for improvement. In essence, the absorption of funds from EU, if it's low, it puts you in a really non-competitive situation versus your competitors in other countries in Europe, where are more developed, more Western. This is clearly a very important point. You know, the automotive industry is really competitive, and all the companies that in our cluster also can say a word about this, but really it's very demanding in terms of supply chain, in terms of deliveries. you know, the notion of just-in-time has been invented through the automotive industry. So it's very important to have really good systems in place. So EU funding comes to support an important, I would say, investor that has shown its commitment in the country. Another key point I would put very, very high on the priorities is the shrinking pool of personnel. We have heard it multiple times today from multiple sides, and especially also the competition panel. So not only very educated engineers or scientists who are linked to innovation that we're so much also trying to pursue, but even on the blue-collar side and expertise on a technical, really shop floor level are really missing, and this is something that we need to pay attention into, I believe, together with the administration. I will not take more, just to mention that bureaucracy is a point that we need to work on as well. When you have a quite important project to implement, you will realize that at the moment it's not the most efficient, but I think we need to work together on this point as well, to hear the business more and then try to find ways where we can improve that timing. And overall, the infrastructure in some cases needs some important improvement, especially in our case for logistics, connections, and so on. Imagine having a very modern factory not being very well connected with logistics-wise with the whole network around. So having products of millions and very expensive for, let's say, BMW or Audi or Porsche on a truck and going through the city through very bad, let's say, road network. So I will not take more of the time, but just I would like to share my thoughts with you, and thank you again so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's important when we speak in general to have the voice of the companies, because at the end of the day we are working to support the companies that actually have the activity and create the opportunities. In Bulgaria, I mean, as everywhere, one of the very good ways to support the companies to attract more investment is the development of the industrial zones. And they're very important because nowadays the speed of the settlement of a new activity is sometimes even more important than other criteria. So we have here with us Mr. Plamen Panchev, who's the CEO of Trakia Economic Zone, one of the success stories in Bulgaria. So, Mr. Panchev, the floor is yours.
Първо искам страшно много да благодаря на организаторите, че ни събраха да поговорим помежду си и да имаме възможност всеки един от нас да каже проблемите, които ни вълнуват, но и някои решения. И за да кажа какво ни вълнува нас, аз ще съм много кратък и така ще гледам да казвам нещата, които имат нужда от решение. Какво ни прави впечатление, какво пита всеки един инвеститор, който дойде и защо ние успяваме? Има едно страшно много важно нещо, това е сигурността и цената на всякакъв вид енергия. След това е работната ръка, но не само работната ръка, а качеството на работната ръка, нейната квалификация и образование. 10 години ние се занимаваме с образование, професионално образование. Само имаме някои първи малки успехи в общата ни работа. Това е бизнеса в зоната с 7 професионални гимназии. Трето нещо, което съвсем доскоро страшно много подценявахме, как да намалим използването на водата, как да я използваме многократно. Тук са много малко успехите, с които можем да се похвалим, но имаме първите реални проекти, които определени компании успяха да оптимизират използването на вода. и ще засилим интереса към решаването на проблеми в тази посока е много голям от самата индустрия. Много интересни неща имах възможността днес да чуя на форума и от колегите, с които сме заедно, и от предишните говорители. И като че ли иновациите, това, което ни събира, тук, за съжаление, не можем да се похвалим, поне ние, с някакви изключителни резултати. Надяваме се следващата година да имаме първия реален стартъп в индустрията. Това е български производител на оборудване в микроелектрониката и не е някаква огромна инвестиция по размери. Това са около 6 милиона инвестиция, но тя довежда до производство на оборудване в България, което ще бъде използвано. Това са патенти с водещи компании, които са разработени, и този продукт ще се произвежда в зоната, което за нас беше много голямо удовлетворение, тъй като това е много успял българин в Австрия в момента, но за него е така едно предизвикателство това да се реализира в България. И тъй като обещах да съм кратък, ще се върна на образованието. Наистина имаме страшно много проблеми, но със сигурност положението е много по-добро от преди 10 години. Преди 10 години, повярвайте ми, когато разговаряхме диалога държава, бизнес, самите образователни институции, бизнесът почти беше на мнение каквото искат да произведат, ние после ще го оправяме. Елате да видите сегашното положение, поне при нас е съвсем различно. Бизнесът участва активно в образователния процес. И ако сега, благодарение наистина на това ново правителство, успеем да направим, но поне 10 годишна програма и никой да не я променя и да създаваме кадри, имаме шанс индустрията ни да продължи да се развива добре. И моето така скромно мнение е, че развитието на България в момента е по десетобалната система поне 7. Благодаря ви.
Very optimistic closing of the intervention of Mr. Panchev. But he's right, because things are working in the Plovdiv economic zone, so he has the right to be optimistic. And last but not least of the panelists is Mr. Roberto Santorelli, who is the president of Confindustria Bulgaria. And he's here in his role both as a president of a bilateral industrial chamber, but also as an entrepreneur who's doing business, and his family has been doing business in Bulgaria for nearly 25 years, 30 years. So he's seen the growth and the history of Bulgarian economy growing and the conditions for doing business in Bulgaria. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. So today Bulgaria is a country that grew too fast in the last 20-30 years. And this growth, but the condition that we have today are totally different than 20-30 years ago. That's why we need, first of all, a stable government. It's very important because today the market changed too fast. The companies that set up the strategy, they are looking for the next 3 years, not 5 or 10 years that was before, because of the dynamicity of the market. And for this reason, we need a stable government, because we need a clear political direction, but not only in Bulgaria and in Italy, but also in Europe. This is one of the points, but another point is also the strategy, how a country can promote the products, the services that the companies do locally. we have a great example of Italy. For the promotion, we have the Made in Italy that is very, very known worldwide, but not only for the capacity of the entrepreneurs to do this kind of product or services, but also for the capacity of Italy as a country to promote these products and services. So we hope that Bulgarian can do the same with an integrated promotional policy. Each ministry, each agency, local agency should promote this with one strategy that have to be in one direction. Another point is also the grant funds that need the companies, especially the manufacturing companies with the labor intensive. So these are the companies that maybe helped Bulgaria to be a very great country where to invest today, but they need to work closely with the university, with the technical schools, to try to automate some of the processes that required a lot of labor. So this is our suggestions, and we hope that the government can do that, because they need really this kind of cooperation to improve the automation. And the last but not least is related to the infrastructures that are related to the road, railways, and also the ports. We are organizing an event in Burgas and to promote the intermodal centers and to develop the Pan-European Corridor number 8 that connect Bulgaria to Italy, and to try to reduce the trucks on the roads, and to try to use the intermodal centers to manage better the goods that are shipped from one side to another side. And we do it also, we have on board also Plamen Panchev, and we hope that with the government we can discuss about these investments on infrastructures, intermodal centers that required a lot of resources, and it's required also the contribution not only of private company but also from the public companies.
Thank you very much. I have to admit that I know Mr. Santorelli for quite some time. I've been director of Confindustria Bulgaria for 8 years before becoming the executive director of InvestBulgaria. And I have the pleasure and the honor to say some words on behalf of the agency, of course, not only as a moderator. What we see is that the macroeconomic parameters of Bulgaria are quite good. And we have constant growth, we have decreasing inflation in the recent months and years. So we are attracting investment, maybe not in the numbers that we'd like, but what we lack is to actually present Bulgaria well abroad. We are in a condition right now, in this moment of time, with the geopolitical situation, with our strategic location on the Balkans, we are able to attract much more investment than we actually do. And it's a pity that we don't succeed enough in this. I mean, we have good results in attracting investment, but we should do much more. It's true that on a European level, investments are going down, but we are one of the countries that can actually use the situation and be very efficient in attracting investments. New investors, when they come to Bulgaria, I mean, they're easily convinced of the really good conditions for investment in Bulgaria. I mean, as we say, Bulgaria sells itself very well once the companies come here. The problem is to let them know of the opportunities. And it's something that the agency and the different ministries and the government has to do more, because it's very, very important. We have the potential is very good, but as Mrs. Stoycheva said, and we've been working recently quite a lot on regional cooperation. Now with Schengen, we're actually really connected. We are nearly one whole zone with Greece and Romania, and then with the other countries of the European Union. This gives us opportunities we didn't have till now. And what is important is that the companies, the business realizes this. Last year, 3 of the 5 best commercial trade partners of Bulgaria were Greece, Romania, and Turkey. And it means that the business doesn't wait for us to say something. The business is working and thinking globally and regionally. When I go outside of the European Union, everyone is asking, yes, about Bulgaria, because I'm talking about Bulgaria, but about the region, the opportunities of the region. And what is very important, that the different agencies and institutions of the region are realizing the potential and their efforts to work together. And I think that's very, very important. I have a lot of things to say, but I'll stop here, because we have like 10 minutes for some final words. And let me just take a... So in the different panelists, there were some very important topics that were repeated throughout the whole panel. The importance of innovation, and we are still working and saying about innovation as something that is outside of our reach, and as something who knows what it is. For many companies, that's true. Very often it's just to do something better in a new way. What is repeatedly said is the training and education and training. Very important for the companies and for the development of the region. The demographic problems and the education and training, key points for our development. Public-private partnership, one topic that was mentioned more than once, and is giving potential to for our development as well. The connection with the universities and the research institutes and the business is a practical way of bringing innovation to the companies. And of course, the infrastructure, something that we have mentioned different times. And for the remaining 7-8 minutes that we have, I'd like to hear you if for some practical suggestions how to move from there. It was an interesting addition from everyone. It wasn't a discussion, I'm sorry, we didn't have time for discussion, but that's the moment for some final words on what came out of this panel. So please don't be shy. We don't have enough time for waiting for participation, please.
Thank you very much. I think the main message to Bulgaria is opportunities are there. It's fantastic to be a club in the EU, in the single market, now in Schengen and with Eurozone on the horizon. So the opportunities are there. I think the key job to the incoming administration is to be strategic and systemic in addressing these many challenges and create the business environment where investors can thrive. Thanks.
Now it's on, right? Yeah, I would build on this argument and say, as a closing remark, that I believe we are in a very difficult situation in Europe overall. And this has been evident from a couple of reports that have been generated and the discussion in the, on an EU level. So I believe in Bulgaria even more we have the need of moving much faster in a few directions that are really important and are linked to competitiveness of the country. So Europe needs it a lot, so Bulgaria needs it more. It has to do with all the points that you very well recapped. And I believe also that with the new administration we have to work very hard together, but also very, very fast in order to keep a level and to be even ahead, to come closer. Thank you.
From my side, I would like to mention that due to the changing environment globally and especially into the automotive industry, I think the most interesting projects coming from the automotive industry in the field of electric mobility, battery technologies, software, even computer chips and microelectronics, they are about to happen in the following years. And yes, we are ready to work together with the authorities to improve some practices, as I mentioned, just to be able to have more sustainable development. Thank you.
Страхотно е, залата се напълни, което значи, че има смисъл и има интерес от това, което говорим. Аз съм сигурен, че в тази зала хората знаем решенията, просто трябва да ги направим.
I think that there is, just like with every time in the beginning of the year, I think there is really a need for a bold vision and for an ambition, because as we were all saying, there are opportunities. I think we need to work together and not to rely on one side maybe doing, always being in the driver's seat, but actually to work together. And I think it's in the nature of business to really drive the change and to drive development. So I would encourage everyone who is in that seat to be proactive, to ask for that partnership and to work together. So it's an opportunity. We have really a strategic location, and we shouldn't be missing this opportunity to work together and to drive the change.
There is one very interesting result of the studies of joint chambers on the territory of Bulgaria. Every year, German-Bulgarian, French-Bulgarian, Italian-Bulgarian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, they are making study of the intentions of their members for next year. Every year, between 70 and 95% for the last 5 years, let's say, companies that are asked intend for next year to increase their investments in Bulgaria. This is very important result of independent studies.
We as a business, we are here. We believe in the country. We believe in the future. But today it's important that governments and business work together in the same direction. And the stability is very important, because just to give you a data, in 2022 we had a 320 million euro investment by Italian companies. In 2023 we had 130. because of instability, government. So that's why the responsibility of the politicians is very, very high. And we believe that to have a stable government and especially to have a strategic long-term plan. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone. I mean, now the clock, the alarm is on. So thank you very much for your participation and for the very interesting insight from all of you. Thank you. Thank you.